My name is Hazel, I'm 32, living in Colorado, and I just bought a run-down cabin for $950. Yep, $950. Less than a brand new iPhone. The house sits at the end of a dirt road, with rotting wood panels and a porch that leans like it's giving up. The realtor didn't even dare step inside. But I did. Because unlike them, I'm not afraid of broken things. I'm afraid of being controlled. When I signed the contract, my hand was still trembling, knowing this would start a war. My family has long treated my savings like community property. Ever since I landed a stable job at the city library, they've always had a plan for Hazel's share. Not outright demands, just syrupy expectations. And I was never actually asked. Last week, at dinner at my parents' house, my mom didn't even ask how I was. She just raved about Madison's upcoming healing retreat. 10 days in Santa Fe, all-inclusive, $17,200. She called it an emotional reset, but I called it a fully funded escape plan. Madison has sacrificed so much for this family, my mother said, swirling her wine. She needs to recharge. Madison gave me a smug little smile, like I was expected to nod along. I chewed a piece of wilted salad and stayed quiet. My father suddenly spoke, voice calm like reading lottery numbers. Hazel, you said you'd transfer the money last week. Is something wrong? I looked up and met his gaze. I'm not transferring it. I used it to buy a house. Madison set her glass down, the clink against the wood sharp. Wait, what? You bought what? A house? With that amount? It's an old place. But it's mine. Paperwork's done. My mom straightened, lips tight. Hazel, you're choosing poverty? You poured all that money into a shack? While your sister needs healing? I don't owe anyone a vacation. Madison isn't a victim, Mom. My dad slammed his hand on the table, splashing his water. If you want independence, then be fully independent. Don't expect us to catch you when you fall. Madison laughed, sharp and cold. Owned. You always pull these petty stunts, then come crying later. You know what? It's pathetic. I inhaled slowly, keeping my voice steady. You don't get to call me pathetic while freeloading off everyone else without shame. My mom dabbed her mouth like she'd just witnessed a moral offense. You don't need to come for Easter. That kind of energy doesn't belong in a family setting. The next morning, I woke up to find myself removed from the family group chat. My name vanished like I never existed. No text, no check-in. I opened the closet, packed a few clothes, some old books into boxes. Outside, the melting snow revealed the uneven dirt road leading to my new home. When I pulled up to the porch, the crack in the window looked like a scar that hadn't healed. But I wasn't scared. I stepped out, wheeled my suitcase across the patchy grass, opened the trunk and pulled out the old folding chair. I placed it on the ground. No cheers, no scent of baked goods, just wind, dampness, and a strange kind of steady silence. The house isn't pretty, but it's mine, and no one gets to tell me I should give it up to keep peace with people who only know how to take. I sat down, stared at the warped door in front of me, and whispered. They chose to leave me behind, I choose to survive. I leaned against the rotting wooden wall, listening to the wind whistle through the cracks, like a reminder that winter hadn't left yet. Inside me, another kind of frost was melting, the one I'd carried since childhood. I remembered the day Madison got her first car, a pink Mini Cooper with a big red bow on top, like it rolled straight out of a magazine ad. Dad took hundreds of pictures. Mom live-streamed it on Facebook. Everyone gushed. She deserves it after everything she's been through. From what I recall, Madison's everything was being dumped for constantly lying. That same year, I received a full-ride scholarship to UCLA. When I told Mom, she barely looked up. Impressive. But who's going to look after Madison while you're that far away? At the time, Madison was unemployed and, as she put it, emotionally wounded by a toxic workplace. Translation, she kept showing up late and got into a fight with her boss. I printed the acceptance letter and taped it to my bedroom wall, just to remind myself I was worth something. Other memories flooded back like puzzle pieces someone had hidden at the bottom of a drawer. In 8th grade, I won first place in a statewide essay contest for my piece on classism in American literature. I brought the award home, beaming, and showed it to Dad. He glanced at it, set it on the table, and turned back to the baseball game on TV. "Madison didn't make the cheer team this week," he said. "She's been down all day. You should check on her." I don't remember what I did next. Probably just taped the award to my closet door, between faded posters. No frame. No congratulations. That's when I started to understand. Love in my family was never unconditional. It only showed up when you were easy to manage, when you played the good older sister role. I used to think if I just tried harder, stayed quiet, became more helpful, they'd finally see me. But the more I gave, the more they expected. Until they assumed I didn't need praise. Because, well, she always does fine anyway. One spring, when I was 25 and had just been promoted to head librarian, I invited the whole family over for dinner. I cooked Mom's favorite stew, set the table with real silverware, even bought fresh lilies. Madison was allergic, but Mom loved them. They arrived 40 minutes late, dragging along a teary-eyed Madison, fresh off her 6th breakup in 3 years. During the meal, I barely spoke. The conversation revolved entirely around Madison's heartbreak and how fragile she was. When I mentioned I'd be receiving the city's Community Impact Employee of the Month award, Dad frowned. "Hazel, don't brag. Your sister's going through a lot right now, can't you see?" That night, I washed dishes alone. The lilies had wilted. The food had gone cold. Madison later posted a picture with Mom on Instagram with the caption, "When you're the daughter who's truly loved." No mention of me. Not even a thank you. And I was the one who hosted. I had spent my entire youth as a shadow. Acknowledged only when needed, never appreciated for who I was. Back in the present, I stood up from the cold floor and stepped into the empty kitchen of my weathered home. The scent of mold, old wood, and time swirled into a strange perfume I now called truth. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through old pictures. Madison with some meaningless trophy. Madison at another glittering birthday. Madison, always at the center. And me? Maybe just a blurry figure on the edge of the frame, faded, out of focus. I sighed, set the phone down and stared at the peeling wall across from me. This house wasn't much. But it didn't ask me to stay quiet. It didn't expect me to shrink or fake a smile to keep someone's approval. It was simply a beginning, with no strings attached. And for me that was enough. I was smoothing the first layer of joint compound on the bedroom wall when I heard the sound of tires crunching over gravel out front. It startled me. Around here, most neighbors were elderly and rarely had visitors in the middle of the day. I set the trowel down on the paint bucket, wiped my hands on my old work jacket, and stepped onto the porch. A champagne-colored Lexus glided into the empty patch of dirt like a scene from a car commercial. The window rolled down, and there it was. The signature blonde curls and oversized sunglasses. Madison. She stepped out, high heels clicking, a white faux fur coat catching the breeze. Standing there among dry grass, scattered trash, and uneven ground, she looked like someone who'd wandered onto the wrong movie set. "Oh my God, Hazel?" Her voice rang out, equal parts shock and condescension. "You actually live here?" I crossed my arms, leaning against the doorframe. "If you're here for a zoo tour, you're at the wrong exhibit." She smirked, climbing a few steps, her Saint Laurent bag glittering in the sun. "I'm just worried about you. The family's been talking. Mom said you've been embracing a minimalist phase or something. Nomadic? Independent," I corrected. "Something you wouldn't recognize." Madison glanced at the sagging roof, peeling walls, warped front door. I'm not judging, Hazel. I just thought, if you ever needed a proper place to stay, my spa has a detox suite open. Why are you really here, Madison? She hesitated, removed her sunglasses, revealing those calculated eyes. A pipe burst at the spa. Repair crew said it'll take 3 days. Hotels are packed. I'm just exhausted. I crossed my arms again, silent for a few seconds, then nodded. One night. Don't touch anything. No filming, no live streams, no guests. And don't call this a healing experience. She clapped her hands like she'd just won a prize. You're still the sweetest sister on earth. I stepped back inside and left the door open. Madison followed, scanning the room like she was mentally preparing it for demolition. Wow. Are you really painting by hand? Impressive. I said nothing. I went into the kitchen to boil water for tea. She trailed behind, her manicured finger brushing a dusty countertop. I brought a few things. Don't worry, I'll keep it tidy. Just some skincare kits and my light therapy setup. Mind if I set it up in the living room? I lifted the kettle, set it down. You can use the spare room, no need for any lights. The sun works just fine out here. She shrugged. I guess you're not on TikTok anymore, huh? I looked straight at her. If you're planning to turn my life into content for your channel, you can head right back to your car. A flicker of uncertainty crossed her face. But then she smiled again, lightly. You're always so dramatic. I just thought, maybe my followers would like a little off-grid minimalism vibe. Maybe they would, but I don't. She fell quiet. For the first time in the entire conversation. I handed her an old towel and pointed upstairs. Last room on the left. No shoes on the wood floor, and don't do anything behind my back. As she climbed the stairs, her heels hit each step like she was staking a claim. I sat down, both hands gripping the teacup. Something in her eyes unsettled me. Like I'd just invited a predator into my house, praying it had already eaten. At night, I lay on the old mattress, eyes wide open, heart slow but heavy. Madison never entered my life without a strategy. The only question now was, what was her angle this time? I woke up to strange whispers drifting up from downstairs. The clock read 6:12 a.m. It was still foggy outside, barely 40 degrees, and I wasn't used to hearing anyone move around in my house before I was out of bed. I threw on an old robe and tiptoed down the stairs. As I hit the third step, I heard laughter. Soft, steady, and completely unnatural. The kitchen door was slightly ajar. Harsh blue light spilled out from a small ring light. I pushed the door open and froze. Madison was sitting in the middle of my kitchen, flawlessly made up, hair softly curled, lit like she was filming a morning talk show. She held her phone high, panning slowly over my ceiling cracks, chipped cabinets and the scuffed-up floor, as if staging a tragic yet inspiring backdrop. Hey guys, look at this. This is where my sister's living. No heat, no hot water, not even a coffee maker, she cooed, her voice syrupy and soothing. But she's still fighting, still holding on. I love her so much. And I know we can help. I stepped all the way into the room, my voice dry. What the hell are you doing? Madison jumped, but in less than a second, she slipped into her professional smile. You're up early? I was just filming some meaningful content. Just sharing the truth, and asking for a little help. You're filming in my house, while I'm asleep, without asking. That's not help, that's exploitation. She pouted, ended the live stream, but the camera was still rolling. You're always so dramatic. I just wanted people to see your situation, to feel empathy, maybe donate a little. I even started a small GoFundMe. I took half a step back. You made a GoFundMe? In my name? Madison pulled out her phone and opened the app. The campaign title was clear: Help Hazel Rebuild, a Home Worth Living In. The cover photo was me bent over, scraping paint, sweat on my forehead. Another photo, me sleeping on the sofa wrapped in a blanket, taken from behind. All of them clearly taken without my knowledge. It's already raised over $19,000, Madison said quickly. I'm holding the money temporarily through PayBuddy, but it's for you. Obviously. I'm just keeping it safe. Until you're more stable. I snatched the phone from her hand and scrolled through the donor list. My name was everywhere. Framed as an inspiring figure, brave older sister, abandoned woman who stayed true to herself. The comments were full of pity. And Madison? In every campaign update she narrated my painful journey, as if she were the one who lived it. My skin burned. Have you withdrawn any of the money? Just a little, to cover content production. And I needed to book a ticket for the Healing Through Empathy conference in San Diego next week, but that's to raise awareness. For you. I scoffed. You're funding your own retreat off my hardship? Do you even hear yourself? I'm spreading truth, Hazel, restoring kindness in this world. Everyone wins. You get funds, I get reach. Win-win. I walked straight to the outlet, yanked the ring light cord, then unplugged the Wi-Fi router. You have two options. Refund everything and delete it all. Or leave my house. Now, Madison stood, her voice sharp. You're throwing away a chance to change your life. You don't understand the pressure of maintaining a public image. No, but I understand what it feels like to be sold out by your own blood. I held her gaze. She didn't blink. Then, with a loud exhale, she grabbed her things. So quickly it looked like panic. When the door slammed shut, the house fell quiet again. But it wasn't peace. It was a storm, cut off mid-strike. I stood in the middle of the kitchen, staring at the room that had just been live-streamed to thousands like a pity museum. And I understood something clear as glass. Madison didn't come to ask for shelter. She came to steal my story and rewrite it without permission. That evening, I was sitting on the creaky wooden chair in my living room when my phone buzzed with a message from an unfamiliar number. The sender? Lana, legal advisor. Complete with a tiny scales of justice emoji. The message was short. I just saw a GoFundMe campaign with your name on it. Did you authorize that? My brow furrowed. My heart skipped a beat. Before I could respond, another message followed. I'm a legal assistant at a small law office in Aurora. That could qualify as fraud and image exploitation if done without your consent. Would you like to talk? I called immediately. Lana's voice came through clear and composed, not cold, but firm enough to make me feel grounded. I saw Madison's campaign this morning when a client asked me to review questionable fundraisers. She's routing the money through a personal account while claiming it's to help someone else. If you didn't agree to it, we can take action. I bit my lip, my fingers tightening around the phone. Not only did I not agree, she secretly recorded me and used my image to fabricate a narrative. Good. Then we start with evidence. I'll guide you through every step. We talked for nearly an hour. Lena walked me through how to back up the videos, log post dates, capture comment threads, and track the donations over time. She instructed me to document every instance Madison used my image. Even if she didn't tag me. I propped my phone on the kitchen shelf, turned on the camera, and began recording everything. My hands shook a little, but I read through each post aloud, each teary caption, each dramatic plea. Then I moved on to Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, any platform Madison touched. Every video, every flash, every syrupy call to action, archived. She had even posted a new video. I'm not doing this for attention. I'm doing it because my sister deserves a fresh start. She'd never ask for help, so I'm doing it for her. I paused the video right at the fake quiver in her voice. She'd never once asked what I needed. Never even messaged me after leaving. But online? She wept for the abandoned sister living alone in a freezing shack. Lena sent me a cease and desist template explaining how to file it, how to monitor her response, and reminded me, don't post anything public yet. Don't lash out emotionally. Let the law speak first. I nodded in the dark, laptop screen flickering against the peeling paint on the wall. Something in me had shifted. I wasn't the reasonable big sister anymore. Not the one who stayed silent during holidays. The one who took the blame to keep the peace. I wasn't going to let my name be stamped usable victim for one more second. The next morning, I went to the post office and mailed a hard copy of the letter to Madison's office, a high-end spa in the new shopping district, where people pay $120 for a Himalayan salt foot soak. Standing at the service counter, signing Hazel on the sender's line, felt like something heavier than retaliation. It felt like reclamation. This time, I was the one writing the story, no one else. When I got home, Lana had emailed. Digital copy delivered with official notice sent to the email tied to Madison's GoFundMe. Hold on to everything. Any transfers made after this point can be used as evidence. I opened my phone. The fundraiser was still live. Total donations, $21,580. Comments kept flooding in. You're the kind of sister we all wish we had. Hazel's, so lucky to have you. I donated because her story moved me. I stared at those words, realizing they didn't know me. They'd never heard my voice, never knew I wasn't asking for pity. I was asking for the truth. And I was going to tell it. Not through crocodile tears, not through soft filters, not through Madison. I opened my laptop, created a new folder. Hazel's Truth, Unfiltered. And I started to write. Not to complain, but to reclaim everything that had been distorted. Then wait. For the right time, the right audience, and this time, the right way. 3 weeks after sending the cease and desist letter, I received an invitation to the annual gala titled Empathy and Elevation, hosted by Madison Grace Collective. Madison's new media venture built on the image of Healing Journeys with My Sister isn't an official guest. The invitation came through Lana, my attorney, who cleverly registered me under independent press. We're not here to disrupt anything, Hazel, she reminded me. Just to let the truth be seen. In a room designed to hide it. That night, I wore a simple black dress, my hair tied low, and around my neck the silver necklace my mother once called cheap flea market junk. I wasn't there to be noticed. I was there to witness. The Rosewood Hotel's main hall gleamed in golden light. The photo backdrop read, "Be the light you seek." Influencers, executives, and entertainment reporters buzzed everywhere. Madison entered in a cream satin gown, her hair in a perfect bun, makeup immaculate like she was stepping onto a magazine cover. She moved through the crowd like a living brand, every inch of her curated. To the right of the stage stood a massive LED screen. Below it, cameras streamed live across 4 platforms. Madison stepped up, mic in hand, beaming. "Thank you, beautiful souls, for being here. I'm just a sister, a woman, a small part of this community, and this journey proves that kindness can break through anything." Applause. Soft piano music began playing. I stayed still. Lana sat 2 rows ahead, eyes trained on the tech crew near the stage. 18 seconds later, the signal went live. Mid-sentence. Right as Madison spoke about how my sister Hazel was moved by the outpouring of love, the LED screen went black. Then, without warning, messages appeared. No introduction, no effects. Madison, let her rot in that dump. Madison, honestly, she's perfect for sympathy points, real raw pain, 0 PR. The room fell silent. Then came an audio clip. Her voice, secretly recorded in my kitchen. She doesn't know how to live stream, but she looks pitiful enough to draw views. Don't worry. I'll use the most flattering shots. Cameras clicked. Whispers swelled into a low roar. Heads turned. The live stream zoomed in on Madison's face. Frozen. The mask she'd worn so flawlessly for years cracked. She faltered, then forced a smile. "Oh, looks like a tech glitch." That clip was taken out of context. A backstage staffer walked up and handed her a thick envelope. Beige, branded with Lana's law firm. Madison took it, visibly pale. No more music. No more applause. Just a wave of murmurs, building like a storm behind closed doors. On screen, a new message appeared. Official notice, pending legal action for fraud, unauthorized image use, and false representation for commercial gain. Someone shouted. "Wait, is the GoFundMe fake?" Madison stammered, lips moving without sound. I remained seated. No hand raised, no smirk, just a steady gaze. Our eyes met. And I wasn't angry anymore. I was still. Cold. Calm, like the wooden house I lived in. Battered, but standing strong. The livestream was cut. Comment sections flooded with shock and outrage. Within 15 minutes, Madison Exposed was trending on Twitter. She left the stage abruptly. Heels clacking, dress dragging, unraveled. No goodbyes. No statements. The back door opened. And just like that, she disappeared. The room stayed frozen after Madison left. Just hushed murmurs washing through the silence like waves brushing the shore. I remained seated in the fifth row, eyes fixed on the now blank LED screen. Then suddenly, a voice echoed through the mic. Not from the main stage, but from the auxiliary podium on the right side of the hall. "Excuse me, may I say a few words?" I turned. Aunt Esther, my mother's older sister, stood there, silver hair tied neatly, both hands gripping the mic. She hadn't been on the speaker list, but somehow, at the moment it mattered most, she had a microphone. Aunt Esther had always been different from the rest of the family. Quiet. Lived alone in a small apartment north of Denver. Taught literature at a high school for 30 years before retiring. During holidays, she never fought to be heard over my mother, or joined the family theater. But tonight, she stepped into the light. Clear and steady, like she'd been waiting for this moment her whole life. "My name is Esther Martin, I'm the aunt of Madison and Hazel." She paused, eyes sweeping across the room. "I was invited tonight as a guest of honor, to witness Madison being celebrated for her community work. But after what just happened, I can't stay silent." She turned and looked directly at me before continuing. "Hazel was the first in our family to finish college. She worked full-time at a library to pay rent and tuition. She never asked anyone for a cent, never complained, just worked. And endured." Cameras pivoted toward the side podium. Phones everywhere were raised, recording. I watched Madison grow up with privileges Hazel never had. I saw Hazel left out of family photos, overlooked for praise, denied hugs every child deserves. Madison isn't a victim. She just plays one well. Someone near the stage sighed. More flashes went off. Aunt Esther didn't flinch. "In our family, we always favored the one who made us feel good about ourselves, the one easy to shape. Hazel never fit that mold. So, we excluded her. At dinner tables, and in bloodlines." She set the mic down and walked off the platform, straight down the aisle toward me. I stood, unsure what to do. But she pulled me into a firm hug before I could breathe. Not performative. Not for the cameras. A real hug. Solid. Heavy. Like she was saying, "This time, you're not alone." Then came the applause. Soft at first, then swelling, like spring rain breaking a long drought. Some stood. Others took off their glasses to wipe their eyes. On phone screens around me, a new hashtag emerged. "Stand with Hazel." A reporter from the Denver Voice approached and whispered, "Would you be willing to share your real story, your side of all this?" I didn't answer right away. I squeezed Aunt Esther's hand gently, then looked into the lens. I'm not here to argue with anyone. I just want to tell my part. The part no one ever asked about. Aunt Esther nodded and stepped back. Her eyes met mine, tired, but burning bright. For the first time, I didn't feel ashamed to stand alone. Because now, at least one person truly saw me. Not through filters, not through scripts, not through Madison. I walked toward the stage. No music. No spotlight. Just me, a microphone, and a room finally ready to hear the truth. Unpolished, unedited. My story. Not loud. Not sorry. And this time, they were ready to listen. 1 month after the gala, life settled into a quiet rhythm. Slow and simple, much like the old house I was once mocked for buying. No more live streams, no more pitying comments. No one speaking over me. Just me, the scent of fresh paint, the smooth grain of wooden planks I hammered in myself, and the occasional knock of a woodpecker echoing from the trees out back. I'd replaced every window on the east side with double-pane glass to brace for winter. Repainted the front door in a soft olive green, swapped in a brushed grass handle. Each morning, I brewed coffee in a dented kettle I found at the flea market. Then sat on the porch, watching the first light cut through the lingering mist. Neighborhood kids biked by, waving. An elderly man from down the road often brought me apple pie on weekends, saying the smell of new wood reminded him of when his wife was alive. I never imagined the place my family ridiculed could bring such safety. No one here asked when I planned to marry. No one taught me how to live properly. No one demanded silence for the sake of peace. They just let me be me. And day by day, I started to believe that was enough. One early summer afternoon, while I was laying gravel along the walkway, my phone buzzed. A message from Madison. Hazel, I've lost a lot. I know you don't owe me anything, but if you have any compassion left, could I stay for a few days? Anywhere. I'm tired. I stared at the screen for a long moment. No apology. No admission. Just a plea, built on the assumption that I was still the soft landing when every other door closed. I wasn't angry. Strangely, not at all. I just felt calm. As if the fractures inside me had finally dried and hardened. No longer aching every time her name came up. I set the phone down on the window ledge, wiped my paint-streaked hands on my jeans, and replied with one line. There's no space for lies here anymore. I wish you peace. No exclamation mark. No justification. I hit send and closed the phone. After everything, I no longer needed their approval. Not Madison's, not my mother's, not anyone who ever asked me to shrink myself just to be counted as family. That night, I rearranged my reading nook in the living room. A sheepskin-lined armchair, a small oak bookshelf, and a few old novels from the local thrift store. I placed a jar of dried lavender on the table and switched on a warm yellow lamp. The light cast long shadows on the wall, like the quiet ending of a gentle day. I held my bookmark, flipped to the page I'd paused on, then stopped. Outside, the moon had risen, blanketing the lawn in a soft silver mist. A breeze rustled the thin curtains, bringing with it the scent of earth and weathered wood. There was no one beside me. And yet, I had never felt more whole. The house I bought for under $1,000, once called a joke, a shack, had become the place I rebuilt myself, not with wealth, but with will. I didn't need validation. Because for the first time, I understood. I was never the extra character in someone else's family script. I was the lead in my own life, and I owed no one an apology for it. In the stillness, I poured a little more tea into my cup. Nothing was perfect. The floor still creaked, the roof still leaked when it rained. But no one was filming me while I slept. No one was turning me into a sob story for likes. There was only me. Hazel, and the peace I had built with my own 2 hands. Hazel's story proves that home isn't about where you live, it's about choosing to live true to yourself. In real life, many people have been dismissed, used, or emotionally hurt by their families. But the point isn't to earn forgiveness, it's to set boundaries and build a life you own. Peace doesn't come from others' approval. It begins the moment you pause, look around, and realize, this place, however small or worn, is yours, and no one has the right to take it away. What do you think about Hazel's choices and how she stood up for her life? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to follow the channel for more powerful stories about family, self-worth, and independence.